This is a reading from my own translation of The Little Prince, Le Petit Prince, from French. I did this translation because I wanted to present a somewhat different image of Saint-Exupéry's great work. His French is also a kind of writing that is sometimes formal and reflects his personality a great deal, but also the fact that the whole episode or episodes, the series of episodes that are described in the book, they take place in Africa, which was at that time colonized. Part of it was colonized by the French. And Saint-Exupéry, who was a really good person and a great man in many ways, inadvertently reveals some of the complexities of neocolonialism and some of the deeper political, cultural issues that are involved in setting his great work in Africa. In a longer essay, I have discussed these points in more detail and quite sympathetically, actually, I must add, to Saint-Exupéry. So this is not the usual kind of white man bashing post-colonial study. On the other hand, it does point to many contradictions and tensions and subtleties in Saint-Exupéry's text that usually are lost sight of. For doing this, I also needed a somewhat different translation, which became a new translation of Saint-Exupéry. I will read from a few specific parts to give you the flavor of this new translation. I will begin at the beginning. Once, when I was 6 years old, I saw a magnificent picture in a book about the virgin forest called True Stories. It showed a boa constrictor swallowing a wild animal. Here is a copy of the drawing. In the book it said, boa constrictors swallow their prey whole without chewing. Afterwards, they can no longer move and they sleep for 6 months while they digest their food. From this, I thought a lot about the adventures of the jungle and, in my turn, succeeded in making my first drawing with a colored crayon. My drawing number 1. It looked like this. I showed my masterpiece to the grown-ups and asked if my drawing frightened them. They answered, "Why would a hat frighten anyone?" My drawing did not represent a hat. It represented a boa constrictor digesting an elephant. So then I drew the inside of the boa constrictor so that the grown-ups could understand. Grown-ups always need explanations. My drawing number 2 was like this. This time, the grown-ups advised me to give up drawing boa constrictors altogether, from the inside or the outside, and dedicate myself instead to geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar. In this way, at the age of 6, I gave up a wonderful career as a painter. I had been discouraged by the failure of my drawing number 1 and my drawing number 2. Grown-ups never understand anything by themselves, and it is tiresome for children to be giving explanations forever and ever. Thus, I had to choose a different career, and I learned how to fly aeroplanes. I have flown a bit all over the world, and geography has truly served me very well. At a glance, I can distinguish China from Arizona, which is very useful if one gets lost in the night. Thus, in the course of my life, I have had many dealings with many serious people. I have lived a great deal among grown-ups. I have seen them from close up. This has not greatly improved my opinion of them. Whenever I met one who seemed to me at all to have a clear mind, I would try out the experiment of showing my drawing number 1, which I always kept by me. I wanted to find out if this person was somebody with true understanding. But the answer would always be, that is a hat. In which case, I would not talk to that person about boa constrictors or virgin forests or stars. I would put myself on their level. I would talk about bridge and golf, about politics and neckties. And the grown-up would be very pleased to have made the acquaintance of such a sensible person. So I lived alone, without anyone to whom I could really talk, until 6 years ago, when, because of an accident, I landed in the Sahara Desert. Something had broken in my engine, and as I had neither a mechanic nor passengers with me, I prepared to attempt a difficult repair job all alone. It was a matter of life or death. I had hardly enough drinking water to last 8 days. On the first night then, I went to sleep on the sand 1,000 miles from any place inhabited by humans. I was more isolated than someone shipwrecked on a raft in the middle of the ocean. So you can imagine my surprise when I was awakened at daybreak by a funny little voice saying, "If you please, draw me a sheep." What? Draw me a sheep. I leapt to my feet as if I was struck by lightning. I rubbed my eyes carefully. I looked around slowly, and then I saw a most extraordinary little fellow who was watching me gravely. Here is the best portrait that I was able to make of him later on. The drawing is certainly far less delightful than the original model. That is not my fault. I had been discouraged by the grown-ups in my career as a painter when I was 6 years old, and had never learned to draw anything except the insides of boas and the outsides of boas. Now I stared at this apparition before me, my eyes popping out of my head in astonishment. Don't forget that I was 1,000 miles from all human habitation, yet this little fellow seemed neither to have lost his way, nor to be dying of fatigue, or hunger, or thirst, or fright. He did not appear to be a child lost in the middle of the desert, 1,000 miles from all human habitation. At last, when I found my voice, I said, "But what are you doing here?" To which he merely repeated very slowly, as though it were a very serious matter, "If you please, draw me a sheep." When a mystery is too overwhelming, one does not dare to question it. Absurd as it might seem to me, 1,000 miles from any inhabited place and in danger of death, I took a sheet of paper and a fountain pen out of my pocket, but I remembered that at school I had only studied geography, history, arithmetic, and grammar. So I told the little fellow with a little touch of irritation that I didn't know how to draw. He replied, "That doesn't matter. Draw me a sheep." As I had never drawn a sheep before, I produced for him one of the 2 pictures that I could draw, the boa constrictor seen from the outside, and I was stupefied to hear the little fellow say, "No, no, I don't want an elephant inside a boa constrictor. Boas are very dangerous, and elephants are very cumbersome. Where I come from, everything is very small. What I need is a sheep. Draw me a sheep." So I drew him one. He looked at it carefully. Then he said, "No, that one is already quite ill. Make me another." So I drew. My friend smiled gently, with indulgence. "Surely, you can see for yourself. That's not a sheep, it's a ram. It has horns." So I did my drawing once more, but it too was rejected like the ones before. This one is too old. I want a sheep that will live a long time. By now, my patience was exhausted, so I was in a hurry to start dismantling my engine. So I scrawled the drawing below. Then I added an explanation. That is his box. The sheep you want is inside. And much to my surprise, I saw the face of my young judge light up. That's exactly how I want him. Do you believe this sheep will need a lot of grass? Why? Because where I come from, everything is very small. Oh, surely there will be enough. I have given you a very small sheep. He bent his head over the drawing. He's really not small. Look, he's gone to sleep. And in this manner, I made the acquaintance of the little prince. Now, as you know, the little prince tells him about his travel from his asteroid up to the Earth. I'm not going to read all that, all those adventures, the episodes of all those adventures. I will go to the part which is about the businessman. Here the little prince meets a businessman. The fourth planet belonged to a businessman. This man was so busy that he did not even raise his head at the little prince's arrival. "Good day," said the latter. "Your cigarette has gone out. 3 and 2 makes 5, 5 and 7 make 12, 12 and 3 make 15. Good day. 15 and 7 makes 22. 22 and 6 make 28. No time to relight it. 26 and 5 make 31. Phew, that makes 522,731. 500 million what? Hey, you're still there. 501 million. I don't know what. I have too much work to do. I'm a serious person. I have no time for idle chatter. 2 and 5 make 7. 501 million what? Repeated the little prince, who had never in his life given up on a question once he had asked it. The businessman raised his head. During the 54 years I have lived on this planet, I have been disturbed only 3 times. The first was 22 years ago when some June beetle dropped from heaven knows where. He made the most dreadful din, and I made 4 mistakes in my addition. The second time was 11 years ago, brought on by an attack of rheumatism. I need exercise. I have no time for sauntering about. The third is standing in front of me right now. As I was saying then, 501 million. Millions of what? The businessman could see there was no hope of being left in peace. Millions of those small objects you sometimes see up in the sky. Flies? No. Small glittering objects. Bees? No. Small gilded objects that set a good-for-nothing person daydreaming. Though I, for my part, am a serious person. I have no time for daydreaming. Ah, you mean stars. Yes, stars. And what can you do with 500 million stars? 501,622,731. I'm a serious person, a precise person. And what do you do with these stars? Do with them? Yes, nothing. I own them. You own the stars? Yes. But I have just seen a king who kings do not own, kings reign over. There is a big difference. And why does it matter to you to own the stars? Stars make me rich. And of what use is it to you to be rich? To buy more stars, if there are any more to be discovered? This fellow, the little prince said to himself, reasons a little like my drunken man. Still, he had a few more questions to ask. How can anyone own the stars? To whom do they belong? Snapped the businessman grumpily. I don't know. To nobody. Then they belong to me, since I thought of it first. Is that all it takes? Surely, when you find a diamond that belongs to nobody, it belongs to you. When you are the first to have an idea, you take out a patent on it. It belongs to you. Yeah, and the stars belong to me because nobody before ever thought of owning them. That much is true, said the little prince. And what do you do with them? I administer them. I count them and recount them, said the businessman. It is hard work, but then I'm a serious person. The little prince was still not satisfied. If I own a scarf, he said, I can put it around my neck and take it with me. If I own a flower, I can gather my flower and take it with me. But you cannot gather the stars. No, but I can deposit them in a bank. What does that mean? It means that I write down the number of stars I own on a piece of paper. Then I lock this paper up in a drawer. And that is all? That's enough. It is amusing, thought the little prince. It is quite poetic, but it's not very serious. About serious things, the little prince had very different ideas from those of grown-ups. I myself own a flower, he persisted, which I water every day. I own 3 volcanoes, which I sweep out every week. I also sweep out the extinct volcano. One never knows. It is useful to my volcanoes, and it is useful to my flower that I own them. But you are of no use to the stars. The businessman opened his mouth, but found nothing to say in reply. And the little prince left. Grown-ups are decidedly altogether extraordinary, he said to himself as he continued on his voyage. Now we move to the place which is almost kind of a climax where he climbs the high mountain, hears the echoes, and then sees the flowers and becomes depressed and finally meets the fox. So, here we go. The little prince climbed a high mountain. The only mountains he had ever known were the 3 volcanoes, which came up to his knees, and the extinct volcano used to serve him as a footstool. From a mountain as high as this, he therefore said to himself, I'll be able to see the whole planet at a glance and all the people. But he could see nothing except some peaks of solid rocks, razor sharp. Good day, he said, taking a chance. Good day, good day, good day, replied the echo. Who are you? Said the little prince. Who are you? Who are you? Who are you? Replied the echo. Be my friend. I am all alone, he said. I am all alone, all alone, all alone, replied the echo. What a peculiar planet, he thought to himself. It is all dried up, full of sharp points, and very salty. And the people have no imagination. They repeat whatever you say to them. On my planet, I had a flower. She was always the first to speak. But it so happened that after walking for a long time through sand and rocks and snow, the little prince finally found a road, and all roads lead to people. Good day, he said. It was a garden of roses in full bloom. Good day, said the roses. The little prince looked at them. They all looked like his flower. Who are you? He demanded, stupefied. We are roses, said the roses. Oh, said the little prince. And he felt terribly unhappy. His flower had told him that she was one of a kind in the entire universe. And here were 5,000 of them, all identical, in a single garden. Should be really vexed, he said to himself, were she to see this. She would cough tremendously and pretend to be dying in order to avoid the ridicule. And I would be obliged to pretend to be nursing her, for otherwise she really would let herself die to humiliate me as well. Then he went on with his thoughts. I thought I was rich, with a flower that was unique, but all I had was an ordinary one, an ordinary rose. That and my 3 volcanoes, which only came up to my knees, and one of those is perhaps extinct forever, all of which do not make me a very great prince. And lying down in the grass, he wept. Just then, the fox appeared. Good day, said the fox. Good day, replied the little prince politely, looking up but not seeing anything. I am over here, said the voice, under the apple tree. Who are you? Said the little prince. You are so pretty. I am a fox, said the fox. Come and play with me, the little prince proposed to him. I am so sad. I can't play with you, said the fox. I have not been tamed. Oh, I beg your pardon, said the little prince. Then, upon reflection, he added, what does it mean to tame? You are not from these parts, the fox observed. What are you looking for? I am looking for people. What does it mean to tame? People, said the fox, they have guns and they hunt. It's really a nuisance. They also raise chickens. That is the only interesting thing about them. Are you looking for chickens? No, said the little prince. I'm looking for friends. What does tame mean? Something that is often neglected, said the fox. It means to create ties. To create ties. Of course, said the fox. To me, you are still just a small boy, like 100,000 other small boys. And I have no need of you. And you also have no need of me. To you, I'm just a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But if you tame me, then we shall need each other. To me, you shall be unique in the world. To you, I shall be unique in the world. I'm beginning to understand, said the little prince. I know a flower. I think she must have tamed me. That's possible, said the fox. On this earth, one sees all sorts of things. Oh, but that was not on earth, said the little prince. The fox looked quite intrigued. On another planet then? Yes. I see. Are there huntsmen on this other planet? No. How interesting. And chickens? No. Oh, nothing is perfect, sighed the fox. But he returned to his train of thought. My life is very monotonous. I chase the chickens, the men chase me. All chickens are the same. All men are the same. So I get a little bored. But if you tame me, my days will be as if filled with sunlight. I shall know the sound of a particular footstep different from all the rest. Other steps make me run to earth. Yours will call me out of my foxhole, like music. And besides, look over there. You see the fields of wheat? Well, I don't eat bread. Wheat is of no use to me. Wheat fields remind me of nothing. And that is sad. On the other hand, your hair is the color of gold. So think how marvelous it will be when you have tamed me. The wheat, which is golden, will remind me of you, and I shall come to love the sound of wind in the field of wheat. The fox fell silent and kept looking at the little prince for a long time. Please, he said, tame me. I should like to, replied the little prince, but I don't have much time. I have friends to discover and many things to understand. One only ever understands what one tames. People no longer have the time to understand anything. They buy everything ready-made from shops. But there is no shop where friends can be bought. So people no longer have friends. If you want a friend, tame me. What do I have to do? Said the little prince. You have to be very patient, replied the fox. First, you will sit down a short distance away from me, like that, in the grass. I shall watch you out of the corner of my eye, and you will say nothing. Language is the source of misunderstandings, but each day you may sit a little closer to me. The next day, the little prince came back. It would have been better to come back at the same time of the day, said the fox. For instance, if you come at 4 in the afternoon, when 3 o'clock strikes, I shall begin to feel happy. The closer our time approaches, the happier I shall feel. By 4 o'clock, I shall be getting agitated and worried. I shall be discovering that happiness has its price. But if you show up at any old time, I'll never know when to start dressing my heart for you. We all need rights. What is a right? Said the little prince. Something else that is often forgotten, said the fox. It's what makes one day different from the other days, 1 hour different from the other hours. There is a right, for example, among my huntsmen. On Thursdays, they dance with the village girls. So Thursday is a marvelous day for me. I can take a stroll as far as the vineyard, for if the huntsmen went dancing at any old time, the days would all be the same, and I would never have a holiday. So the little prince tamed the fox, and when the time for him to leave was approaching, "Oh," said the fox, "I'm going to cry." "It's your own fault," said the little prince. "I never wished you any harm, but you wanted me to tame you." "I know," said the fox. "And now you're going to cry," said the little prince. "I know," said the fox. "So you gained nothing from it at all." "Yes, I have gained something," said the fox, "because of the color of the wheat." Then he added, "Go and look at the roses again. You will understand that yours is unique in the world. Then come back and say goodbye to me. As a present, I will tell you a secret." The little prince went off to look at the roses again. "You are nothing like my rose," he told them. "As yet you are nothing at all. Nobody has tamed you, and you have tamed nobody. You are as my fox used to be. He was just a fox, like 100,000 other foxes. But I made him my friend, and now he is unique in the world." And the roses felt very uncomfortable. "You are beautiful, but you are empty," he went on. "One could not die for you. Of course, an ordinary passerby would think my rose looked just like you. But in herself, she is more important than all of you together, since it is she that I watered, since it is she that I placed under the glass cover, since it is she that I sheltered with the screen, since it is she whose caterpillars I killed, except the 2 or 3 we saved up to become butterflies. Since it is she that I listened to when she complained or boasted, or when she was simply being silent, since it is she who is my rose." And he went back to the fox. "Goodbye," he said. "Goodbye," said the fox. "Now here is my secret. It's very simple. You can only see things clearly with your heart. What is essential is invisible to the eye." "What is essential is invisible to the eye," repeated the little prince, so as to remember. "It is the time you have wasted on your rose that makes your rose so important." "It is the time I have wasted on my rose," repeated the little prince, so as to remember. "People have forgotten this truth," said the fox. But you must not forget, you become responsible forever for what you have taken. You are responsible for your rose. I am responsible for my rose, the little prince repeated, so as to remember.